So in this video, I wish to share 4 highly effective hacks for optimal sleep. But before I share these 4 different hacks, I want to just give a little bit of an introduction as to why sleep is so pivotal and important when it comes to physical health. Because in this chapter, we largely talked about food and nutrition. And food and nutrition, while it is pivotal, it is actually only one of 3 pillars when it comes to optimal physical health. Yes, there are other aspects that affect our psycho-emotional spiritual health, but when it comes to pure physical functioning, there are 3 main pillars, and they are diet, exercise, and sleep. And I personally regard sleep as the most important one. It is the most essential nutrient out there, if you will. The reason sleep is so important, well, there's many. So let's just touch on a few of the main reasons why sleep is so important. Number 1, in our deep sleep is when we detoxify the most. It is when lymphatic fluid moves up and down our spinal cord, and it helps to drain out all the toxins in our body. That's one big reason. Another big reason sleep is so important, it's responsible for the repair of cells. So the repair of stem cells in our muscles, our brain, our organs, etc. It is where the restoration happens. It is like a youthful rejuvenation, if you will. The third big reason why sleep is so important is neurological. It is regarding the brain. In our deep sleep is when we reconsolidate and reintegrate our memories of the day. Furthermore, did you know that if you are practicing a given skill in a day, after you sleep and then wake up, you are 30% better at that skill because the brain has integrated the learning. This has been put out there by various sleep scientists. So that is an understanding of why sleep is so important and why we should be aware of the importance. It is critical for detoxification, the repair of stem cells, and brain function. Okay, so let's look into the different sleep hacks we're going to go into. I'll give an overview, and there are basically 4. So we'll go over them quickly, then we'll go more in depth. The first big one is blue light blocker glasses. The second big one is caffeine cutoff. Thirdly, we have entering parasympathetic, relaxation, meditation, and gratitude. That's a bit fascinating, isn't it? Then fourthly, we have early to bed, early to rise. Let's crack into it. Number one was about blue light blocker glasses. So what are these? Actually, I have the pair right here. That's a funny coincidence. It's essentially an orange set of glasses that looks like this, kind of like construction glasses. And what these do is they block out blue light. Blue light is a frequency of light which is typically present in daylight hours. This is because the sun reflects the blue from the sky. Now, evolutionarily, human beings are designed to be awake and alert during the day. In other words, we are designed to be awake and alert when blue light is present. Blue light actually suppresses melatonin production, which is one of the key sleep hormones. And then typically, evolutionarily, blue light would start to diminish as the sun sets, and then at night time there is no more blue light present. There is basically darkness or ember light or yellow light from the fire. So why do we need to wear blue light blocker glasses? It's because a lot of our devices like our phone, our laptop, the TV, and even fluorescent lights in the house, they emit a very powerful blue light frequency. This creates an artificial sense of wakefulness, and it actually suppresses melatonin production. So that means that we will be in a more wakeful fight or flight state late into the evening if we are around blue light and if we don't have the protection of these glasses. I'm just going to adjust as you can see, there's actually light coming in the window. Let me adjust this. There we go. Okay. So yeah, we have a basic understanding of why it's so important to wear blue light blocker glasses. I certainly attest to this in my own life. As soon as I started wearing them, I would put them on at around 6 or 7 p.m. and then I would start to feel tired pretty much instantly. And then I was able to easily get to sleep by 9 or 10 p.m. Keep in mind, I already had a good rhythm of early to bed, early to rise. So if you're a night owl, you won't magically be asleep at 9 or 10 with blue light blockers. But they have a significant effect, and they will push you in the right direction. You can get them for $10 off Amazon. But if you get a more expensive pair, you will get a higher quality pair. When I say high quality, they all do the job, but I just mean more comfortable, ergonomic, and better vision. That's all I mean by higher quality. So that's the first big sleep hack, blue light blocker glasses. Next we had caffeine cutoff. The thing about caffeine is it has a very long half-life. The half-life is about 6 hours. So this means after you consume caffeine, 6 hours later, you will still have roughly half that amount of caffeine in your system. So caffeine is obviously a wakefulness enhancing drug. It blocks adenosine, which is considered the fatigue hormone. And furthermore, caffeine, it stimulates the adrenal glands. So if you have a coffee at, say, 4 or 5 p.m., you're going to get to like 11 p.m. and still have a fair amount of caffeine in your system. And you're not going to get very good sleep if you have adenosine receptors blocked and if you have adrenaline quite high. Even if you do get some sleep, if you are trying to sleep with your adrenal glands active, it's not going to promote the deepest parasympathetic sleep. That's our relaxed state. You're going to be a little bit in fight or flight even when you're asleep, and this will mitigate some of the deep rejuvenating effects of sleep. In short, your sleep quality won't be as good, even if you do get some sleep. So if you are drinking caffeine, I recommend a caffeine cutoff of about 2 p.m. if you're drinking full strength coffee. The third point here regarding optimal sleep was the parasympathetic nervous system and learning how to relax, meditate, and be thankful at the end of the day or at night time. So for those who don't know, what is the parasympathetic nervous system? Our nervous system has two basic modes, at least in this particular dichotomy, and they are the sympathetic and the parasympathetic. The sympathetic nervous system is our fight or flight wakefulness state. Is when we have things like adrenaline, cortisol, norepinephrine, dopamine. They're your up and go neurotransmitters. The parasympathetic nervous system is our relaxed state. It's also called rest and digest. So in this state we have more serotonin, more melatonin, even endorphins in some cases. So it's a much more relaxed state, and this is the state that we are in the evening and then towards sleep. So this part of the video is about finding a few little ways to get into parasympathetic nervous system more effectively. So one good key is to meditate and relax. So if we do deep breathing, focusing on the breath, that automatically brings us more into a relaxed state. Furthermore, if we relax our muscles, like progressive muscle relaxation, that also helps to relax us. Another awesome little tip here, before you go to bed, make a journal of 3 things you are grateful for. I know it sounds pretty airy-fairy, doesn't it? In a chapter regarding parasympathetic, a scientific term, we're now saying be thankful. But if you write down what you are thankful for before going to bed, it puts you into a very happy, calm, kind of blissed out state, It makes us feel at ease, and it gives us a sense of well-being. And from there, we're very much ready to just blissfully go off to sleep and fall into deep rejuvenation. So that's a few ways to get into parasympathetic. Meditation, breathing, muscle relaxation, and being thankful. The fourth and final part of this this video on optimal sleep is early to bed, early to rise. Now, various thinkers in the health field have said that every hour of sleep before midnight is twice as rejuvenating as every hour after midnight. I don't believe there's any data on this, but I can generally attest to it when I reflect on my life, and maybe you can too. When you pull an all-nighter and then sleep during the day, the sleep quality isn't as good. And in fact, I think it is data-driven that the best quality sleep happens at nighttime, not the daytime. Some of the possible reasonings behind sleeping more in the night and then getting up early is it's more in sync with our natural circadian rhythms and our natural melatonin cycles. Evolutionarily, our ancestors were going to bed shortly after the sun was set and then waking up early in the day. So it's very plausible that our DNA and our genes are simply optimized to sleep during this time. But I have discovered another very compelling reason to strive for early to bed, early to rise. And this is because it is a discipline. In my experience, maybe you can attest to this too, being early to bed and early to rise and being disciplined, it creates a sense of living purposefully. It creates a sense of productivity, purpose, and consciousness. Because let's compare being early to bed, early to rise, and being a night owl, being up late. When you were a night owl and you were up into those wee hours were more prone to procrastination, were much more likely to binge on Netflix and mindless web browsing late in the evening. Whereas if we go to bed early and get up early, and we're having more hours of our life in the early morning, we're much less likely to procrastinate and chit our time away in the magical sunrise hours. Those hours are really magical and meditative, and you feel primed to be productive when you are awake before the rest of the world. And furthermore, when you are getting up early and going to bed early, your nighttime routine, at least in my experience, the nighttime routine is not one of procrastination. Generally, after dinner, you then start to engage in your nighttime routine where you wind down gracefully before bed. Simply put, it is a discipline. Going to bed early is a discipline, and every discipline creates a higher level of consciousness and functionality in your life. So that is why I recommend early to bed, early to rise. It's more in sync with our natural circadian rhythms, and it is a discipline. But please be aware, if you really like being up late, getting up late, then that's okay. If you know that works for you and you've tried both, fair enough. But be open to the idea that early to bed, early to rise is significantly better, and that there are reasons for that. Simply consider it and try it out. That is it for optimal sleep. So to give an overview of the 4 big things we covered, 1 was blue light blocker glasses, $10 on Amazon. 2 was caffeine cutoff, stop caffeine before 2 p.m. 3 was parasympathetic, so relaxation, breathing, meditation, journaling with gratitude. 4, early to bed, early to rise. That sums up this section of optimal sleep. Good night.